let me start this review with a question.
Bazinga! None of you ever see my practical jokes coming, do you?
What the fuck, you really thought I'm gonna start every review with a question? Alrighty, Pentiment. This is honestly not an easy one to review, the reason being me saying his stuff wouldn't really do justice to this game. Whatever I say in the next 10 to 15 minutes shouldn't let you forget two things. 1. Yes, Pentiment is a very good game, worth of your time and money. 2. Pentiment is not perfect. As a matter of fact, Pentiment is one of the most critically acclaimed games of 2022. IGN, for example, gave Pentiment a 10 out of 10 perfect score. I personally can't call Pentiment a perfect game. Yeah, almost everything it puts on the table is perfect, I agree. But to be fully honest, Pentiment overstays its welcome. If it was an 8-hour game, yes, I would have agreed with IGN. But this game is a 15 to 18 hours long game. Don't get into this thinking it's a whim from Obsidian. Pentiment is a full-fledged feature-complete RPG. I'm gonna let you know exactly why it falls that little short of perfection, but since the story and the narrative do something like 80% of the heavy lifting here, by getting too deep into what hinders the perfection now, I will spoil it for you. So follow me along with the review I think Pentiment deserved. Okay, I wanna kick things off by telling you what a fucking visual masterclass Pentiment is. Which game won the best art direction in the Game Awards last year? Yeah, Elden Ring. Some might disagree and say the God of War Ragnarok's art direction should have been called up to the stage, while a bunch of you think Horizon Forbidden West should have won it. All of you, shut the fuck up, because Pentiment's art design rules. But seriously, aside from the jokes, I do think it deserved a nomination in the art design department because visually this game kicks ass. Every scene, location, and character is beautifully painted with so much detail and care. Even the pause menu, goddammit, why did you have to nail that? But yeah, despite its 2D cartoony graphics, it still depicts the happiness, love, anger, and arrogance of every character in a way I haven't seen before. Waterfalls in the forest, dark caves, an abbey with drawings and illustrations in every nook and cranny of it. These environments all change and evolve as the game progresses, which gives the game a fresh coat of paint every once in a while. Obsidian did some wonders with the art direction of this game, and I can't wait to see more of the visual creativeness put into this game in a AAA level game like Avowed or Outer Worlds when they release. On the performance front, I didn't face a single bug, but it doesn't really count as an achievement because the game isn't that demanding at all. I think an iPhone 7 should be able to run this game no problem, no questions asked, except of this one, of course. Talking about phones, this is the perfect xCloud game, since fast actions and reactions are not required, and the game runs smoothly. Also, on-screen controls are enough, and you don't have to carry a bulky controller around. I played a good 3-hour session on xCloud, and I was very satisfied with the experience. Yeah, I understand why those games with bigger budgets and photorealistic graphics are the obvious choices for an award show like the Game Awards, but Pentiment doesn't budge when it comes to graphics and visuals, that's for sure. Okay, let's actually get into what Pentiment has to offer as a video game. The gameplay is mainly centered around a murder mystery. You wake up every day as a main character, live your life in a small town, and go to bed at night. Each day is split up into three parts: morning, evening, and night. You go around and talk to the townsfolk about what they know regarding the murder, or just check and inspect what's left as evidence. But each of these activities consumes time, the most valuable currency in the game, which means you don't get to inspect everything, talk to everyone, and explore everywhere. You have to make a choice about what to inspect and whom. What you say while talking to people and how you say it can change the outcome of a conversation drastically. The game makes you actually think about what you choose to say to people, and my favorite bit is the fact that Pentiment never spoon feeds you into making the right choice. It doesn't save your ass after messing up either. Choose poorly and you have to pay the consequences. It's your job and your job only to think and decide the flow of your days, your conversations, and your relationships with the people of the tasking, the town that the game happens in. Being nice to everyone doesn't guarantee the best outcome. In some cases, you have to be frank and bold. In other instances, confronting a character will make an impact on a different character and his or her attitude towards you. Or at times, being too nice to someone means they won't leave you the fuck alone even if you want them to. There are some mini games thrown into the mix, but I didn't enjoy them, all things considered. Here's one of my biggest issues with Pentiment. All the player does, as gameplay, is to talk to people about these murders for almost 15 hours. 15 freaking hours of running around, reading and choosing your own dialogue and reading the response, and the cycle goes on. This means the conversations should be extremely intriguing and exciting to read through. Otherwise, the game can't keep the player engaged for longer than an hour or so. Thankfully, these conversations are very well written and paced for like 8 to 9 hours, but after that, the game loses its touch. And powering from that point to the end of the game is not a fun task. The game doesn't offer enough gameplay diversity needed to carry a 15-hour long story, and sadly, the story itself flops after you play two-thirds of it. On the audio front, there is no voice acting done here, so the player has to read through the dialogues like a book. Which doesn't mean the game undersells when it comes to the audio and soundtrack design. The high quality sound effects are well placed throughout the game, and most importantly, the game gives you absolute silence for a while when it's necessary. The soundtracks were among the most polished and excellent soundtracks I've ever heard in a video game. Pentiment doesn't use the same soundtrack for too long. It keeps treating your ears with what can only be called superbly well done art. Just listen to this. Take it in. When it comes to the story, Pentiment suffers from pacing issues. For almost two-thirds of the game, not only the story keeps up, but complements everything else in the game too. But in the last third, oh man, this game forgets how a video game works. For something like 10 hours, the game focuses on a murder mystery which offers a well-paced, well-written experience. But in the last 5 hours, the game basically drifts away from the main subject, which is the murder mystery you were trying to solve all the way. And it doesn't even get back to it until the very end. Right when you're glued to your seat, right when you're all warmed up to actually get to know who's this guy who's killing everyone in this town, the game goes like, without spoiling the story, I can't really tell you what exactly goes wrong with this game, but trust me, the last 5 hours won't be fun. It gets dragged far too much that I guess the ending 3 hours before the game even ended. Yeah man, overall the story begins strong, gets you high up there on its plot, and then it smashes you to the ground with a boring and unsatisfactory conclusion. Not good enough in my opinion, not even close enough to anything good to qualify for any sort of forgiveness. Pentiment is a piece of art, with fresh looking graphics, amazing sound design, and a story that won't let you down for two-thirds of the experience, in my opinion. It does suffer from pacing issues, which doesn't make it a bad game, yeah, but I'm not sure if I would power through the last 4 or 5 hours if it wasn't for the sake of this review. That being said, I still insist the first 10 hours of the game makes me able to recommend this to you guys. Ultimately, we all know how hard creating new IPs is, and Obsidian had the guts and more importantly, the expertise to create a new IP to build upon in the future.